Welcome to the next session of Programming for Problem Solving. The topic of the day is operators and expressions in C. First of all, we will try to understand what are operands and expressions in a C statement. Consider the following statement: A is equal to B plus 5. The statement above consists of 3 operands and 2 operators. Which are those 3 operands? A, B, and 5. And there are a total of 2 operators in this statement: assignment, that is equal to, and additional operator, that is plus. Each operand within the statement above is an expression. So which means A is equals to B plus 5 has 3 operands, A, B, and 5. All these 3 can be considered as individual expressions, which can then be clubbed together operation by operation to form a single expression. So within the total statement A is equals to B plus 5, first of all we are going to divide this into individual operands as expressions and then sum up to form a single expression. Please have a look at the explanation given below. Now B is one expression, so we name it as expression 1. 5 is another expression, so we name it as expression 2. And A is the last individual operand as an expression as expression 3. Now for the statement given A is equals to B plus 5, we will group together 2 sub operations to form a single expression. For example, B plus 5, as you can see in the highlight, B plus 5. What is B? It is expression 1. And what is 5? It is expression 2. So expression 1 plus expression 2, the combination of it becomes expression 4. So what is expression 4? Expression 4 is actually B plus 5. So we are going to assign the expression 4 to A. And what is A? A is expression 3. So what eventually becomes expression 5 or expression 3 directly is equal to expression 4. So rather than using the expression 5, you can directly write expression 3 is equal to expression 4. Now why there is a need to understand the operands and the expressions? Because in C programming language, you can have an operation on a maximum of a binary operation on a maximum of 2 operands at one time. So for example, if I give you this particular example right here, A is equal to B plus C divided by D multiplied by 10. Now this expression actually, or the statement, contains 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 operands and a total of 4 operators. We cannot solve this whole statement or whole expression in a single go. We have to divide this into single expressions containing of single operands, and then one by one the operations is applied. For example, multiplication between D and D, and whatever is the sum, then we will divide it by C, then the sub expression will be added to B, then the same will be assigned to A. I hope you are able to understand the concept of what is an operand and what are the different expressions within a single statement. What are operators? In C, an operator is a symbol that is part of the character set of C language programming construct and is used to perform operations like calculations, assignments, and comparisons. So overall, we have 3 categories of operators. One are called unary operators. Unary means 1. So what are unary operators? That are applied on a single operand. For example, if I say B is equals to minus A, please have a look at this statement on the screen. B is equals to minus A. Now this minus operator is being applied on A, which is a single operand. That is why it is called a unary operator. On the other hand, a binary operator is the one which is applied on two operands. So just have a look at another example on the screen. B is equals to A minus C. Here in this statement, the minus operator is applied on two operands, A and C. So we are going to deduct the value of C from A. Hence, it is called a binary operator. And then we have a ternary operator. A ternary operator is the one which is applied on three operands. So in C, we have a single operator which is known as a ternary operator, and that operator is known as conditional operator. Now, what is the symbol of the ternary operator in C programming language? Please have a look at the example or the symbol on the screen. The symbol is question mark followed by colon. So question mark followed by colon is a ternary operator. This is used for the if condition. If this is true, what we are supposed to do. Please have a look at the example that is given at the bottom. Here is the example. Now what will happen when you evaluate this expression, or you can say that what happens when you solve this expression using the ternary operator and you want to display the value. Then the first thing that you see on the left hand side of the question mark operator is A less than B. Is the value of A less than B? If it is yes, then the value of X will be incremented, otherwise the value of Y will be incremented. So what is an operator? It is a symbol with a predefined meaning and it is supposed to perform some operation. We will have a look at different types of operators in the coming slides. We have a unary operator that works on a single operand, binary operator that works on two operands, and ternary operator that works on three operands or expressions. Types of operators. Broadly, we have 8 types of operators or 7 types of operators, with 8th being all the operators which are not included in the first 7 categories: arithmetic, assignment, relational, logical, increment, decrement, conditional, bitwise, and the leftover operators. So first of all, we will start with the arithmetic operators. As you can see in the table, a total of 5 operators comes under the category of the arithmetic operators. The first one is called the multiplication, and it is the very basic operator. The symbol is here, asterisk symbol. 2 multiplied by 3 and the answer will be 6. Easy for you to understand because you already are aware of the basic mathematics. Division, this is the symbol slash for the division. 4 divided by 2, the answer is 2. Next is subtraction. 4 minus 2, the result is 2. Addition, 4 plus 2, the answer is 6. The last one is called the modulus operator. The symbol of the modulus operator is like this, which we use generally for the percentage symbol. So what is the modulus operator? The modulus operator is used to find the remainder of a number when divided by the second number. For example, 5 modulus 2. If you divide 5 by 2, the remainder will be 1. So why we use the modulus operator? The modulus operator is used to find the remainder of a number when divided by some other number. The next we have is assignment or shorthand assignment operator. Now what is an assignment operator? The assignment operator is used to assign the value of the expression on the right hand side of the assignment operator to the expression on the left hand side of the operator. So here you can see in this example, A is equals to 5. We have two operands, 5 which is on the right hand side and A, which is on the left hand side of the assignment operator. So what is the job of the assignment operator? To assign the value of the expression on the right hand side, which is 5, to the expression on the left hand side. So 5 will be assigned to A. The next version of the assignment operator, or the advanced version we have, is a shorthand operator. What is a shorthand operator? Shorthand operator is used when the arithmetic expression on the right side of the assignment operator. Please remember, the expression on the right side of the assignment operator starts with the expression on the left side. So you have an expression on the right hand side, as you can see, A plus B. What is the starting operand of this expression? A. And now A is equal to the expression on the left hand side. Now what if it was A is equals to B minus A? Now the expression on the right hand side starts with B, but it is not equal to the expression on the left hand side. Even though the expression on the right hand side contains A, which is also present as the expression on the left hand side, we cannot use the shorthand operator for this. So what is the condition to use the shorthand operator? That the expression on the right hand side should start with the expression on the left hand side. So how we use the shorthand operator? Consider the following expression currently being highlighted. Please look at the bottom of the screen. A is equals to A plus B. So using a shorthand, we can write it as A plus equals to B. A is equals to A plus B can be written as A plus equals to B. This helps to improve the speed in which the expression is evaluated by reducing the number of operators. So what is the advantage of using the shorthand operator? It helps to improve, or it helps to increase the speed at which the expression is evaluated. Next, we have increment and decrement operator. So what is the role of increment and decrement operator? The two operators, that is increment and decrement operators, are used to increase or decrease the value of any variable by 1. So the idea is only to change the value of a given expression or a variable by 1. That is either increase by 1 or either decrease by 1. The increment and decrement operators come under the category of unary operators because they can be applied on the single operand. And there are two methods to use the prefix and use the increment and decrement operators, namely as prefix and postfix. So what is prefix and postfix? If first of all have a look at the symbols for the increment and decrement operator, double plus is the increment operator symbol and double minus is the decrement, is a symbol for the decrement operator. Now when the double plus operator, which is the increment operator, comes before the operand, it is called prefix, and when the increment operator comes after the operand, it is called the postfix increment. So here you can have a look at the examples for the increment and decrement operators. Here you will also see what is the difference between the prefix and the postfix. There are two tables that have been given. In the first table, the increment and the decrement, increment, postfix and prefix are used without the assignment, and in the table number 2, the pre-increment and post-increment increment have been used with the help of assignment. So when we use the increment operator either as postfix or prefix without the assignment operator, it does not make any difference. So here you can see in the example, integer a is equal to 10. So the value of a is equal to 10, and we apply the postfix increment of the a. So the value of a will be incremented by 1 and it will become 11. So on the right hand side, again we have assigned the value of 10 to a and pre-increment the value of a by 1. the value of A will again become 11. Hence, there is no difference between the postfix and the prefixed increment if we are using it without the assignment. Now let's have a look how the difference comes when we try to assign its value. In the table number 2, the first statement on the left hand side, we are assigning the value of 10 to A. So A becomes 10. Now comes the most important statement, B is equals to A plus plus. Now what will happen? Please remember one rule of thumb. When we are using the post increment operator in a bigger expression, then the expression is resolved first and then the increment happens. And when we are using the prefix increment in a larger expression, then the increment happens first and then the expression is evaluated. So please have a look at the screen. B is equal to A plus plus. Now we have applied the plus plus increment operator on A. Because it is a postfix increment operator, which means the expression will be evaluated first and then the value of A will be incremented. If you remove the increment operator from this expression, the expression becomes B is equals to A. So the actual expression is B is equals to A. So let us assign the value of A to B. What is the value of A? The value of A is 10 and hence it will be assigned to B. So B will become 10. And now you can increment the value of A by 1. So A will become 11. So what is the final output? The value of B will become 10 and A will become 11. On the contrary, if you are using the B is equals to plus plus A, because it is prefix increment or pre-increment, the expression which is B is equals to A will be evaluated later. First of all, we will increment the value of A. So increment the value of A will become 11. Now assign the value of A to B. So what is the value? Current value of A is 11. So B will also become 11. So what will be the output? B will be 11 and A will also be 11. I hope you are able to understand the difference between the pre and the post increment. Similarly, we can apply the pre and post decrement on some expression. The next is relational operators. As you can have a look at the table below, a total of 6 relational operators are there. First of all, let us define what is a relational operator. The relational operators are used to find the relationship between the two operands or the expressions. What will be the outcome when you apply the relational operator on two operands? The outcome is either 0 or 1. 0 means true, the 0 means false and 1 means true. So what are these 6 operator symbols called? The first symbol is called facing towards the right hand side is called less than. The second symbol is called greater than. The third symbol is called less than or equal to. It is not less than and equal to, less than or equal to. The fourth one is greater than or equal to. The fifth one is a very important and a unique symbol sign, because it is also a single equal to is used for assignment, and when we have a double equal to, it is used to compare the value of the two expressions. So it is a relational operator. Please remember, single use of equal to symbol is assignment and double use of equal to is a relational operator to check if the value of expression 1 and expression 2 are equal to. The last symbol is representing not equal to. Now let's have a look at the example and what is the output. 5 is less than 6 because it is facing towards the 6 or the right hand side. So what does the symbol say? 5 is less than 6. The answer is true. That means 1. 5 is greater than 6, which is not true. The answer is 0. 6 is less than or equal to 7. 6 is not equal to 7, but 6 is less than 7, and hence the answer is 1. 7 is greater than or equal to 7. Now 7 is not greater but equal to 7, hence the answer is 1. 6 is equal to 7. The answer is no, 0. 7 is not equal to 8. Here we are not checking whether the expression 1 is greater than or less than the second expression. We are just checking if the two expressions are not same. Any expression can be greater than the other expression. So 7 is not equal to 8, which is again true, and the output is 1. The next is logical operators. We have a three categories of logical operator, or a total of 3 logical operators that we can use in C programming language. The first one is called AND, the second one is called OR, and the third one is called NOT. It represents the 3 logics for the digital computing. This category of operator is used to produce a decision based on the combination of multiple expressions. So what we saw in the last slide is that we applied a relational operator to 2 expressions and it gave some output. Now what if you have 2 relational operators that are applied and resolved separately, and I want to check the outcome of both? I will give you an example right here. It will be easy for you to understand it through the help of an example. A is greater than B. This is one expression. I am checking whether the value of A is greater than B or not. The second expression is A is greater than C. So the first expression is used to check whether the value of A is greater than B, and the second expression is used to check whether the value of A is greater than C. Now I want to know if both these expressions are true. Means A should also be greater than B and A should also be greater than C. Then I can use the AND logical operator in the middle. Now what is the use of AND logical operator? The AND logical operator returns 1 if all the expressions are true. And if any of the one expression is false, the answer is false. So in this case, if the value of A is 10, the value of B is 9, and the value of C is 8, then A is greater than B and A is also greater than C, which means the answer is true. Now what if there are 2 expressions, A is greater than B and A is greater than C, 2 expressions, and I want to know if any one of these 2 is true, then I am going to use the OR operator. Now what is the logical OR operator? It returns true if any one of the given expressions is true. So that means it will return true if A is either greater than B or A is either greater than C. So in case of AND logical operator, it has to be greater than both, and in case of OR logical operator, only one expression has to be true. And what is NOT? NOT is basically the negation. So whatever will be the output, it will reverse the same. It is basically used to check NOT, whether something is not true. I repeat, whether something is not true. So if we say A is greater than B, then we are checking that A is, the value of A is greater than B. If I say not, then I am checking that A should not be greater than B. A should not be greater than B. So how is it is evaluated? So I am going to use the logical operator not in front of A greater than B. So it will return true if A is not greater than B. Now what if the value of A is greater than B? If A is 10 and B is 9. So A greater than B will return 1 and not will convert it into 0. I repeat, the idea is to reverse or negate the result of an expression. The expression A greater than B is true because A is 10 and B is 9. But the not operator will reverse this outcome to 0. So this is the role of the not operator. I hope you were able to understand the role of and, or, and not logical operators. The next is the conditional operator, which is also known as the ternary operator. An example of the same was given at the beginning of this video lecture, but we will have a look at it again. The symbol of the ternary operator or the conditional operator is given here, question mark followed by semicolon. The syntax with which we can use it is given right here. A total of 3 expressions can be used. That is why it is called a ternary operator. Expression 1 comes before the question mark symbol. Expression 2 comes in between the question mark and the colon, and expression 3 comes at the right of the colon. Now how it is evaluated? The whole idea is to evaluate the expression that is on the left hand side of the AND operator. If the expression on the left hand side of question mark symbol is true, then we go on to execute or return the expression 2. Otherwise, we return the expression 3. Now let us suppose if the value of B is 10 and the value of A is 9, which means B is greater than A. Hence the value of the expression true 2, which is B, will be assigned to C. And if the value of B is not greater than A, then the value of expression 3, which is A, will be assigned to C. I hope it is clear to you what is the meaning of a conditional operator and why it is called a ternary operator, because a total of 3 expressions or operands are involved. Bitwise operators. Now bitwise operators basically operate on the individual bits of a number, integer number. So what you need to remember is that you are not going to take the decimal value into account. You are going to take the binary value into account. For example, the first bitwise operator is AND. You know what is AND? AND is if both are true, the final answer is true, otherwise the answer is false. Now let us suppose if you apply AND operator to 5 and 3. 5 and 3. What is the binary equivalent of 5? The binary equivalent of 5 is 1, 0, 1. You want to apply the AND operator on it. With which value you want to apply the AND operator? With 3. So what is the binary equivalent of 3? It is 0, 1 and 1. Now let us apply the AND operator. 1 and 0 is 0, because the final output is 1 only when both of the expressions are 1. 0 and 1 is again 0 because they both are not 1. 1 and 1 is equal to 1. So if you apply the bitwise AND operator to 5 and 3, the final value will be 1. Now let us apply the bitwise OR to the 5 and 3. So what is the binary equivalent of 5? That is 1, 0 and 1. we are going to apply the bitwise OR 5 or 3. What will be the final outcome? 1, 0. So OR means either one of the two symbols or two bits should be 1. So the answer is 1. 0 and 1 is again 1, and 1 and 1 is again 1. So what is the value of 5 or 3? The answer is 7, because the binary equivalent of 1, 1 and 1, oh sorry, the decimal equivalent of 1, 1 and 1 is 7. So here is a list of 6 bitwise operators that you can apply. The first bitwise operator is called AND. It is applied on the individual bits. The final bit is, the resultant bit is 1 if both the bits are 1. Then bitwise OR, the resultant bit is 1 if either of the two bits are 1. Bitwise exclusive OR, it applies the exclusive OR logic to all bit positions between the two numbers. So this is a collective. So you need to know the formula for computing the XOR. The next is bitwise complement. It is applying the logical complement to a number, that means reversing it. The one is called bitwise left and the last is called the bitwise right. These two operators are used to shift the bits one position to the left or one position to the right. If you want to see an example how you can use it, if you have something like 5, you want to left shift it by how much? You want to left shift the bits by 2 position. You can shift by 3 positions, by 1 position. What happens if we left shift the 5 by 2 positions? What is the binary equivalent of 5? It is 1, 0 and 1. So if we left shift it, it will become 0, 0 and 1. How? Because we shifted these two bits to the left and there is no position in the left to store these values. So these two bits are lost. And what happened to this bit? This bit has been shifted 2 positions to the left, so it is saved here. And these two become 0. Similarly, you can shift the bits towards the right as well. So these are the 6 bitwise operators that you can apply on two integer values. I request that you should practice and have a look at the explanation for these two operators from any textbook for further understanding. The next is sum of the left of operators. The first one is called the size of operator. It looks like a function, but a size of operator is basically used to return the amount of memory required by some data type or a variable. For example, integer a. We know that integer variable takes 2 bytes in the memory. So if I apply the size of operator to a, it will return 2. What if the variable a was float? Then size of a would have returned 4. The next is called the reference operator and the symbol is something like this, ampersand. It is used to return the address of some variable or it is used to create a reference variable. So there are two objectives of using the reference operator. One is to return the address of some operator and the second one is used to create the reference of some variable. So let's have a look. For example, in the first statement, we are trying to print the address of a. So if you have integer a is equals to 10, ampersand of a will not print the value of a, which is 10. Rather, it will print the address or the location of a where it is stored in the memory. And the address is represented using the hexadecimal value. That is why we are using %x. The second use of the reference operator is to create the reference variable. So this is how you can create a reference variable. we are using the ampersand symbol with the expression on the left hand side. Generally we use A is equals to B, but here we are using ampersand of A is equals to B. Now what happens if I write a statement like this? Integer ampersand of A is equal to B. Here I am creating a reference variable A. What is a reference variable? A reference variable is an aliasing. What is aliasing? If I am assigning it the value of B, it means B is a variable that already exists. For example, something like this. Now B is a variable that already exists, and I am creating an additional reference to the same variable, which means that now the memory location which is being pointed by B has another name called A. Only one variable is created, only one memory location will be allocated. The value at that memory location is 10, but it has two references, or it has two names. One is called B and one is called A. Now if I change the value of A to 15 and try to print the value of B, it will print 15. Why? Because A and B, they both point to the same memory location. The last type of operator is called dereference operator or asterisk sign. What is the use of the dereference operator? It is used to create a pointer variable. A pointer variable is something that is used to store the address of some other variable, and it can also be used to access the value of the address it is pointing to. So we will not go into the detail of this. You will come to know when you will study the pointers, but still this is how we are creating the pointer variable. So integer A is equals to 10 is a normal variable, and integer star PTR means it is a pointer variable. PTR is equals to ampersand of A. You have already seen ampersand of A is used to return the address of A. So address of A will be stored in the pointer variable. I hope that these three operators are clear to you: size of operator, reference, and dereference operator. Operator precedence and associativity. Now if you have an expression, arithmetic expression with multiple operators used in a single expression, then which will be the first expression to be evaluated? That is decided by the precedence of the operator. And you can see that a total of 6 types of precedence have been defined, starting from the top, which means the highest precedence. So which operators have the highest precedence in the C programming language are given here. So these are the operators that have the highest precedence. And then these are the operators which have the second highest precedence. At the top you have multiplication, division, and modulus, then plus and minus, then left shift and right shift, then the relational, then the logical, then the bitwise and, or, and so on. Then comes the precedence of conditional operator, and then comes the assignment and the shorthand operators, and at the last what you have is the comma operator. So what is precedence? As I have already told you, the precedence means if you have multiple operators within a single expression, then which will be the first expression to be evaluated is decided by the precedence. Now what if there are two operators in the same expression that have the same precedence? Then which one will you compute first? That will be decided by the associativity. As you can see that the associativity of the first category of operators is left to right. So that means if you have used two of the operators in this list in the same expression, then you will evaluate the expression which is on the left hand side first. Right to left means you will evaluate those operators which come on the right hand side first. So I hope you are able to understand what is the operator precedence and associativity. Types of statements in C. We have three types of statements in C broadly. The first one is called declaration statement. Declaration statements are used to declare the variables for use in the program. Integer a means will be a variable of integer data type. Integer a comma b means a and b are two variables of integer data type. And the third one is called declaration with definition. This means that a is a variable of integer data type with an initial value of 10. Next comes your arithmetic statements. Arithmetic statements are simply the expressions that consists of arithmetic operators. So here is an expression: a is equals to b multiplied by c divided by d. So this is an arithmetic statement because it consists of arithmetic operators. The last category of statements is called the control statements. These are discussed in the upcoming video lectures of this series. Control statements are used to control the execution of the instructions in a program. Normally, if you have written the 10 instructions in the program, all the 10 instructions are executed in a sequential order, one after the other. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But C gives you a provision to change the execution order, repeat, or skip some of the lines. So that can be achieved with the help of control statements. There are three categories of control statements: decision statements, which are used to skip some of the lines; loop statements, which are used to repeat a certain set of statements; and jump statements are used to jump from a one statement to any arbitrary statement within the program. Comments. Comments are very important in a C program because they help to improve the readability of the program. But what are comments? Comments are non-executable statements in C, which means these statements will not be executed in the C program. So whatever you write in the C program has only the meaning of improving the readability. Otherwise, from the programming point of view, it has no meaning. So how you can write the comments? For the single line comments, if your comment is of a single line, then you can use this symbol // and then write the comment whatever you want to write. If you have a multi-line comment, then you can start it with this symbol, that is / and asterisk, and then you can write your comments like this is your multi-line comment, and you can end it with the help of a asterisk and /. So this is how you can write the comments which are non-executable statements within a program. Data input. The most popular function that we used for accepting the input of the data from the user is called the scanf function. So here you can see the scanf function is used to accept the input from the user. In case you are using the string input, then you have the opportunity to use other input functions like gets, but those functions have been discussed in detail later when you are studying the strings. So let us see how we can accept the input from a user using the scanf. So this is one statement that is used to accept the input of a variable called num. So how you write the syntax: scanf followed by a set of round brackets, followed by a set of round brackets, and within the round brackets, first of all, you give the type of integer, a type of variable for which the value you want to take in the double quotes. For example, it is written here %d. %d is used to denote the integer value. So what are the different formats that we use? You will see in the next slide. And after that, the comma operator is followed by the name of the variable and the ampersand operator, which indicates the variable for which the input is to be accepted. How we can write or use a scanf statement to accept the input of multiple variables in a single statement? As you can see here, scanf, which is followed by the round brackets. Within the double quotes, we specify %d and %d. That means we are going to accept the value of two variables and both will be of integer data type. So double quotes is followed by comma operator, and then ampersand number 1 comma ampersand number 2 indicates that we are going to accept the value of two variables which are of integer data type, and their name is num1 and num2. I hope this is clear. This is how we can accept the value from the user using the scanf function. But this is only for the integer values. So what are the different formats that we can use to accept the input for different data types? You can have a look at this table. Various format specifiers. What we have already seen is only %d, and the %d is used for integer data type. If you want to accept a single character from the user, then you can use the %c. If you want to accept the value of unsigned integer, then you can use %u. For long signed and unsigned integer, you can use long L, D and LU. O is used for octal and X is used for hexadecimal. E, capital E, F, G, capital G, they all are used for float data type. For the double, we use LF, and for accepting the string, we use the percentages. Now let us suppose that we want to accept the input of a character, integer and a float variable using a single scanf statement. Then what will be the syntax of the same? Please have a look at the bottom of the screen. We are going to write something like this: scanf followed by round brackets. So first of all, you use the double quotes. The value of the first variable is of integer data type, so I'm going to write %d. The value of the second variable is of float type, I am going to use %f. The value of the third variable is of character type, so I'm going to use %c. Now, comma. Give the name of the first variable preceded by the reference operator, ampersand a, which means %d means the first value is of integer data type and the name of the variable is a. Next is %b, that means b is of float type, and the third one is c. Now for accepting the input of a character variable, there is no need to use the ampersand symbol or for the array, or even if you use it, there is no problem. So you can write it something like this. If you want to accept any other data type, then you just need to remember the format specifier and then you can accept the input. So this is how we can accept the input from the user in C programming language. Data output. Just like the input, we can also output the information on the screen. The function that we use for displaying the message on the screen is called the printf function. What is the syntax of the printf function? Printf followed by the round brackets, just like the square brackets. And then within the double quotes, we specify the format specifier or the constant literal as part of the message that we want to display. If we have used some format specifiers or we want to display some variables, then we are going to use the comma and then the list of variables for which the value has to be displayed. So let's have a look at some of the examples at the bottom, and then we will come back to what are different constant literals. Look at this particular highlighted example at the bottom. Printf, within double quotes, we just specify the format that is %d, which means we want to display the value of some variable. So name of that variable will be given after the comma operator. And what is the name of the variable? Fact. So this statement is simply used to display the value of the variable fact on the screen. Now let's have a look at the second example. In this example, within the double quotes, we have used two format specifiers. One is %d and the second one is %f, which means we want to display the value of two variables on the screen. The first variable will be of integer data type and the second variable will be of float data type. So we have to provide the list of that variables also. P is the first variable and it will be of integer data type, and INTR is the second variable which will be of float data type. So this is how we can display the value on the screen. The third is slightly different and very important, because within the double quotes we are using both the constant and the format specifier. Within the double quotes it is written factorial is equal to %d. So what is this factorial is equal to? This is a constant message that will be displayed on the screen. So no matter what is the value of the fact variable, factorial is equal to will always be displayed like this on the screen. Now factorial is equal to is followed by the format specifier %d, which means we want to display the value of fact. So what will be the output if the value of fact is 10? The output of this statement will be factorial is equal to 10. So similarly, we can use it for the multiple also. Principal is equals to %d and rate is equals to %f. Let us suppose that the value of P is equals to 100 and R is equals to 5. Then the final output on the screen will be principal is equals to 100, rate is equals to 5. Now what is this /n? It is one of the constant literals that we can use for formatting the output on the screen. Please have a look here. %n is used for new line. As you can see in the last line, I'll just clear it and redraw right here. It says principal is equals to %d, which means 100. So it will display on the screen principal is equals to 100 and then /n, which means the output will move to the next line. As you can see on the screen right now, I am typing principal is equal to 100 /n. /n will not type anything on the screen. It will simply move the cursor to the next line, and then you will write rate is equals to 5. So what is the job of /n? Just to move the cursor to the next line. Similarly, you have /t, which is known as tab. It will move the cursor 8 places or make a space of 8 tabs. For example, if I type table/t, table already has 5 characters and /t is supposed to make space for 8 positions. So it will go 3 positions in the front. Now let us suppose if I have typed 100/t, 100 already has 3 characters, so it will make space for 5 characters, and then you can type another. So what is /t? It makes space for the 8 characters. /v is used for the vertical tab, /t is used for the horizontal tab. Similarly, you have /f, which will take you to the next page of the output. /b is for backspace, removing some character. /r is used to return to the beginning of the same line. /n is used to move. For example, if I say table/n, then I am moving the cursor to the start of the next line. But if I say table/r, then the cursor will move to the starting position of the same line. So I hope it is clear to you the use of printf for the data output. So here is a simple C program that is used to accept the two numbers. Now let's have a look at this program and how this program actually works. Some of these lines are clear to you. This line starts with /, and hence this is a comment. You are also aware of this line. This line is called the declaration statement. It is used to declare 3 variables of the integer data type. You are already aware of printf and scanf. Printf is used to print the message on the screen, whereas scanf is used to accept the input of a number from the user. So you are already aware of these 4 lines. You also know about this line, sum is equals to number 1 plus number 2. This is an arithmetic statement that we have already discussed. And the next line is again the printf line that is used to display the message on the screen. So other than these lines, all are new to you. So we will see what is their job. Hash include is called a preprocessor. So we have a degree of preprocessors, 3 or 4 types of preprocessors. But for the time being, we are only concerned with this preprocessor. Hash include only the hash symbol. Please note down that only the hash symbol is called a preprocessor. Which type of preprocessor it is? File inclusion. That is why the name is include. That means we want to include some file in our program. What is the name of the file? Conio.h. So this preprocessor, file inclusion preprocessor, has been used twice. One to include the file conio.h and the other one is used to include the file stdio.h. What are conio.h and stdio.h? These two are called the header files. These come with the compiler and these include the prototypes of various inbuilt functions that we are going to use. So whichever functions that are already available in the with the C compiler, we can use them in our program by including the respective header files. So how many functions we have used in this program? One is, let me clear the drawings. One is clear screen. This is CLR, SCR is clear screen, and one is getch. These both functions are included in the conio.header file, that is console input output. What is clear screen? It is used to clear the output on the screen, and getch is used to accept the single character input from the user. Please note that you do not have to press the enter key. If you press any key, that input will be accepted using the getch. So these two library functions have been used in this program and they both are prototyped in the conio.h. Other than this, we have used another two library functions which are known as printf and scanf. These two are included in the stdio.h. Now the whole program is clear other than what is this? Main. Main is called a function, and the property of the C program is that you cannot write any executable statement or any line without the main function in the C program. So every coding has to be done inside the main. As you can see in this program, the whole program has been written inside the main function. So what is the main function? You write main followed by the round braces and then the block of the main function. Here is the starting curly braces and here is the closing curly braces. So this is the main function starting from here and ending here, and the whole program has been, or the executable statements have been written inside the main function. The details about what is a function, what is the use of function, how we create a function is discussed in the future or upcoming video lectures. I hope this simple program is clear to you. I request you all to please type this program and in any compiler, C compiler, and try and see if you get the output or not. So with this, we come to this end of this very lengthy video tutorial. It had a lot of topics to discuss. It initially started with what is an operand, what is an expression, what are the operators. We discussed all the operators available in C programming in great detail. And then we discussed how many types of statements are there, how we can accept the input from the user, how we can display the output to the user, and then we saw the syntax for a simple program. I hope you enjoyed this lecture and I formally welcome you to the programming in C language, and I request that you all should be ready now to try these programs in the lab. Thank you.